You did not click this video. Something inside you slowed down and brought you here. And sometimes that is how Allah begins changing a heart. Before the mind even realizes what is happening, your soul was summoned here before your mind ever knew why. Let me speak to you softly, because this moment did not arrive by accident. You did not come here because you were searching for answers. You did not plan to stop. You did not wake up today thinking, "Tonight, I will listen to these words." Something inside you slowed down before your thoughts had time to explain it. Your thumb paused. Your breathing changed. Your chest felt a little heavier, a little quieter. And this is often how Allah begins. Not with a sound you can hear, not with a sign written across the sky, but with a stillness placed gently inside a life that has been moving too fast for too long. All day, the world has been asking things from you. Messages waiting for replies. Responsibilities that do not pause just because you are tired. Expectations you feel even when no one says them out loud. You move from one moment to the next, carrying a weight that does not always have a name. There are things you hold inside that no one sees. Questions you never say out loud. Fears you keep quiet because you do not want to burden anyone. Strength you show even when your heart feels like it needs rest. And in the middle of all of that noise, Allah creates a small opening in your night. A pause that does not demand anything from you. A moment that does not ask you to prove yourself. A space where your heart can finally lean forward instead of your mind running ahead, planning the next thing, worrying about the next step, or replaying the last mistake. Right now, notice how the air feels a little softer. Notice how your thoughts are not rushing as hard as they were before. Notice how something inside you is listening, even if you cannot explain what it is listening for. That is not coincidence. That is care. You were not summoned here by curiosity. You were not drawn here by boredom. You were not pulled here by chance. You were brought here because Allah knows the exact weight your heart is carrying tonight. He knows the memory that keeps visiting you when the room gets quiet. He knows the worry you keep pushing into tomorrow. He knows the prayer you almost make but stop halfway because you feel tired of hoping. There are parts of your life that feel unfinished. There are doors you are still standing in front of, wondering if they will ever open. There are moments you replay, wondering if you could have done something differently. And through all of that, Allah does not rush you. He meets you in stillness. He meets you in pauses like this, where nothing is demanded from you, where no one is watching you, where you do not have to perform or explain or defend yourself. This moment is a quiet reminder that you are not carrying your life alone. Even when you feel like you are walking through your days unseen, even when you feel like your efforts go unnoticed, even when your heart feels heavier than your words, there is a care surrounding you that has not left. So take this moment as it is, not as something you need to understand, not as something you need to analyze, but as something you are allowed to receive. Because before your mind ever knew why you stopped, before your thoughts ever caught up to this pause, your soul was already being called. And without realizing it, you answered. There is a world moving around you that your eyes were never meant to see. Let me speak to you gently, because this truth is not meant to feel heavy. It is meant to feel grounding. You move through your day trusting what your eyes show you. You trust the floor beneath your feet, the walls around you, the faces you recognize, the screens you look into. You build your understanding of life from what you can touch, hear, and measure. But Islam teaches something deeper. This world you walk through is not the full picture. It is only one layer of a much greater reality. There are moments in your life when you feel watched over without knowing why. Times when something almost goes wrong, but doesn't. Times when you feel guided away from a choice you were about to make, only to realize later how much it would have cost you. These are not accidents. These are signs of a care that works quietly, without announcing itself. Around you, at every moment, there is movement you cannot see. Angels carrying prayers, mercy being written for patience you didn't think mattered, protection placed in front of you before you ever knew you needed it. You may sit alone in a room and feel like nothing is happening, but in reality, your life is never standing still. Even in silence, things are being arranged for you. Even in waiting, things are being prepared. This is why small moments can feel so powerful. A sudden stillness in the air, a quiet that feels deeper than noise, a strange pause that makes your heart lean forward without a clear reason. These moments are not there to make you uneasy. They are there to remind you that you are not the center of everything. You are part of something carefully designed, carefully guided, and carefully watched over. Your eyes were never meant to carry the burden of seeing every world. Your heart was meant to carry trust instead. You do not need to see the angels to benefit from their presence. You do not need to understand every unseen detail to be protected by it. You do not need to explain every mystery to be guided through your life. There is a mercy in not knowing everything. If you saw every danger, you would live in fear. If you saw every test ahead, you would feel overwhelmed. If you saw every unseen reality, your heart would carry a weight it was never meant to hold. So Allah gives you something gentler. He gives you trust. He asks you to walk forward without seeing every step, to pray without knowing exactly how your prayer will be answered, to wait without seeing the full picture of what is being prepared for you. And sometimes He reminds you of this truth in small, quiet ways, not with loud signs, not with dramatic moments, but with a feeling in your chest that says, "There is more here than you think." Let that feeling soften you, not unsettle you. Let it remind you that your life is not random. Your pauses are not empty. Your waiting is not wasted. Even when your eyes see nothing special, something meaningful is always unfolding around you. And through it all, you are being guided by a Lord who sees every world at once, while holding your single, fragile human heart with care. Allah is not showing you a cat. He is waking up your heart. Let me speak to you slowly here, because this part is not about what you see, it is about what you feel. So much of your life happens on the outside. You wake up, you move, you respond, you solve, you carry, you push yourself through the day because that is what is expected of you. And over time, something very quiet happens inside you. Your heart becomes efficient. It learns how to feel just enough to survive, but not enough to pause. It learns how to care, but not enough to rest. It learns how to move forward, even when it is tired of carrying everything alone. You pray, but sometimes your prayer feels like a task. You say Allah's name, but sometimes your mind is already on the next thing. You listen, but sometimes your heart is not fully present. And this is not because you do not care. It is because life has been heavy. So Allah does something gentle. He does not always wake you up with hardship. He does not always wake you up with loss. Sometimes He wakes you up with a moment that feels small, strange, and quiet. A pause in the room. A stillness that lingers longer than it should. A simple scene that makes your heart lean forward without knowing why. And suddenly, you are not just moving anymore, you are noticing. You feel something in your chest. Not fear, not excitement, just awareness. This is the place Allah speaks to the most. Not to your schedule, not to your plans, not to the version of you that performs for the world, but to the version of you that exists when no one is watching. So understand this gently. Allah is not trying to give you a mystery to solve. He is not testing your knowledge. He is not asking you to figure something out. He is asking you to feel something again, to feel how close He is, to feel how present you are in this moment, to feel how much of your life you have been rushing through without ever sitting with your own heart. There was a time when your prayers felt lighter. There was a time when you turned to Allah without needing a reason. There was a time when your heart softened easily. And maybe lately, things have felt heavier. So this moment is not about what you are seeing in front of you. It is about what Allah is gently reopening inside you. A space for stillness, a space for trust, a space where your heart can breathe again. Remembrance is the shield that darkness cannot cross. Let me meet you here with something simple, because you do not need complexity, you need certainty. There are moments in life when your heart feels unsettled, not because something is truly wrong, but because you feel small in a world that feels very big. You realize how much you do not control, how much you do not see, how much you cannot predict, and that realization can either make you anxious or it can make you anchored. Islam does not tell you to fight the unseen. It does not tell you to fear it. It tells you to remember Allah. Because remembrance is not just words on your tongue, it is a place your heart returns to. When you say the name of Allah, you are not just speaking, you are placing your heart back where it belongs, in His care, in His awareness, in His protection. You do not need to understand every force in the world to be safe. You do not need to know what exists in every space to be protected in your space. You need connection. Think about this gently. There were moments in your life when something should have gone wrong, but didn't. There were times when you almost said something that would have changed everything, but you stayed quiet. There were paths you almost took, choices you almost made, that somehow closed in front of you. You may call it coincidence, you may call it luck, but faith calls it care. This is what remembrance does. It keeps your heart in a place where care can reach you. When your home is filled with Allah's name, fear does not find a place to settle. When your heart is filled with Allah's name, worry does not stay as long as it used to. Not because life becomes easy, but because you are no longer carrying it alone. So when something makes you pause, when a moment feels heavier than usual, do not let your thoughts spiral into questions that lead nowhere. Let your heart return to something steady. Say Allah's name quietly. Let a verse pass through your mind. Let your breath slow down. You are not pushing darkness away with power. You are stepping back into light with trust. And in that light, even the things you do not understand lose their ability to unsettle you, because you remember something greater. You are seen. You are held. You are not alone in this world, or any other. You were never invisible, even in the moments you begged to be seen. Let me speak to the part of you that learned how to be strong in silence. There were seasons in your life where you showed up for everyone else while quietly disappearing inside yourself. You listened to other people's problems while carrying your own unanswered questions. You smiled in rooms where your heart felt tired. You kept moving forward because stopping felt like something you were not allowed to do. And in those moments, a quiet thought may have visited you. Does anyone really see me? You may have felt overlooked, unrecognized, forgotten in the noise of other people's lives. You may have felt like your efforts blended into the background, like your patience did not leave a mark, like your sacrifices went unnoticed. But let me offer you something gentle. Just because people did not see you does not mean you were unseen. There is a difference between being invisible to the world and being invisible to Allah. The world only notices what is loud. Allah notices what is sincere. The world claps for results. Allah writes down intentions. The world remembers moments. Allah remembers endurance. There were prayers you whispered that never left the room. Tears you wiped away before anyone noticed. Acts of kindness you performed without expecting anything in return. You may have thought those moments disappeared, but nothing sincere ever disappears in the sight of Allah. Your patience was recorded. Your restraint was seen. Your effort was counted. Even when you felt like your life was standing still, something was being written for you in the unseen. There is a care that follows you that does not announce itself, a protection that works quietly, a mercy that wraps around you without asking for attention. Think about the times you were spared from something you did not even realize was coming, the people who drifted away before they could hurt you, the opportunities that closed because they would have taken more than they gave, the delays that felt painful at the time but later made sense. These were not empty moments. These were moments where you were being watched over, even when you felt alone. So if you have ever begged to be seen, begged to be understood, begged for someone to notice how heavy your heart felt, let this be a gentle reminder. You were never invisible. You were being protected in ways you did not recognize yet. And even now, in this quiet moment, you are still being seen, still being held, still being guided, even if the path ahead does not feel clear. Every mystery in your life is an invitation to come closer to Allah. Let me speak to the part of you that wants answers. You live in a world that teaches you to solve everything, to explain everything, to label every feeling, fix every problem, and predict every outcome. You are taught that uncertainty is weakness, and not knowing is something to be corrected as quickly as possible. But faith teaches you something very different. Not every mystery is meant to be solved. Some are meant to be followed. There are moments in your life that do not make sense right away. Doors that close without explanation. People who leave without clarity. Delays that stretch longer than you thought you could endure. Prayers that feel like they are floating in the air instead of landing somewhere you can see. And in those moments, your mind looks for control. It asks, why? It asks, when? It asks, what did I do wrong? But your heart is being invited to something deeper. It is being invited to trust. Every unanswered question is not a sign of distance from Allah. Sometimes it is a sign of closeness, a quiet invitation to lean in instead of pulling away. When you do not understand what is happening, you pray differently. When you cannot see the next step, you hold on to Allah more tightly. When you realize you do not control the outcome, you begin to place it in His hands. And that is not weakness, that is worship. There is a kind of connection that only grows in uncertainty, a kind of faith that only deepens when you walk forward without seeing the full path. Think about the moments in your life that changed you the most. They were not the ones you fully understood at the time. They were the ones you survived with trust. So when something in your life feels like a mystery, do not rush to treat it like a problem. Treat it like a doorway into slower prayers, a doorway into softer hearts, a doorway into a version of you that relies less on control and more on surrender. Because every mystery you carry is not pulling you away from Allah. It is quietly leading you closer to Him. Your need to understand is the very place Allah is teaching you to trust. Let me speak to the part of you that feels uncomfortable when you do not know what comes next. There is something inside you that wants life to make sense before you move forward. You want a clear reason before you accept a change. You want a guarantee before you take a step. You want to see the full path before you are willing to walk it. And this is very human. You were created with a mind that plans, protects, and prepares. A mind that looks for patterns so it can feel safe. A mind that wants to hold the future in its hands so the present does not feel so fragile. But there are places in life where your mind reaches its limit. Moments where explanations run out. Moments where effort does not produce immediate results. Moments where you do everything you can and still do not see the outcome you hoped for. And in those moments, something deeper is being asked of you. Not understanding. Trust. Trust does not begin when everything makes sense. Trust begins when things stop making sense. There are times when Allah will not show you the full picture, not because He wants to confuse you, but because seeing everything at once would overwhelm your heart. If you knew every test that was coming, you would feel tired before you even reached it. If you knew every delay ahead, you would feel heavy before the waiting even began. So Allah gives you today, just today. He gives you the next step, not the entire staircase. He gives you the breath in your chest right now, not the map of your whole life. And this is not limitation, this is mercy. Think about the times in your life when something did not make sense at first, but later became a turning point. The loss that reshaped you, the delay that redirected you, the closed door that pushed you towards something better than what you were asking for. At the time, you wanted answers, you wanted clarity, you wanted to understand, but what carried you through was not understanding. It was trust, a quiet decision to keep praying, even when you felt unheard. A soft choice to keep walking, even when the path felt unclear. A gentle surrender that said, "I do not see it, but I believe you do." This is where Allah teaches you something powerful. You do not need to carry the future. You only need to carry your heart back to Him again and again. Every time you feel the urge to control what comes next, let that be your reminder to release it instead. Let it become a moment of dua, not a moment of worry. Let it become a place where you place your life back into hands that are far more capable than your own. Because the place where you feel the most uncertain is often the place where Allah is shaping the deepest part of your faith. The unseen was never meant to frighten you. It was meant to guide you home. Let me meet you here with something gentle, because this is where everything comes together. So much of what you cannot see makes you feel small. You think about the future and feel unsure. You think about the past and feel regret. You think about the world around you and realize how little you control. And in the middle of all of that, your heart looks for something steady, something that does not shift when everything else does. This is where the unseen becomes a comfort instead of a fear. The unseen is not just what exists beyond your eyes. It is also the mercy that surrounds you without announcing itself. The guidance that reaches you before you even ask for it. The care that holds you together on days when you feel like you are falling apart inside. You may not see the angels writing down your patience, but they are. You may not see the prayers being lifted from your chest, but they are rising. You may not see the doors being prepared for you in the future, but they are waiting. Your life is not moving through empty space. It is moving through care. Every step you take is within the knowledge of Allah. Every tear you hold back is known. Every hope you keep alive in quiet ways is seen. So when something reminds you that there is more to this world than what you can see, let it bring you peace instead of tension. Let it remind you that you are not wandering through life on your own. You are being guided even when you feel lost. You are being protected even when you feel exposed. You are being prepared even when you feel stuck. This life is not your final home. It is a journey. And every moment of stillness, every pause that softens your heart, every reminder that you do not see everything, is gently pointing you back to where you truly belong. Not to a place, not to a moment, but to a relationship with the one who sees you in every world, in every state, in every season of your life. So walk forward with that in your heart. Not fear, not worry, but a quiet confidence that you are moving through this life held by a mercy far greater than anything you cannot see. And when the night feels quiet and the world feels still, let that be the moment you remember. You are not alone. You are being guided home. Let me leave you with this gently. You do not need to understand every moment of your life for it to be guided. You do not need to see every step ahead for it to be safe. You do not need to carry the weight of every world on your own heart. Tonight, as you sit with these words, let yourself rest for just a moment in the care of Allah. The same Lord who sees what your eyes cannot see also sees what your heart has been carrying in silence. Every tear you never showed, every prayer you almost gave up on, every hope you kept alive quietly, none of it was wasted, none of it was unseen. So walk forward gently, not with fear of what you do not know, but with trust in the one who already knows where your path is leading. And if the world feels heavy again tomorrow, remember this moment. You were not forgotten. You were not overlooked. You were held. May Allah place peace in your chest, light in your path, and calm in your nights. And wherever you go from here, may you carry this quiet certainty with you. You are never alone.